Hi, my name is Phillitia Charlton. I am CEO and co-founder of Charlton Charlton Associates, an emotional well-being firm. I'm also an internationally certified life coach and subject matter expert. And today, I'm going to talk to you about empathy and accountability. Empathy without accountability is enabling. Accountability helps you care about a situation, but also practice compassion and holding yourself and the other person accountable. Why is it important to practice empathy and accountability? Because together, they can create a strong foundation for relationships and personal and professional growth. Empathy allows individuals to understand and relate to people's feelings and to consider different perspectives. Accountability ensures that you take responsibility for your actions. Without empathy, relationships can suffer, leading to poor communication, leading to misunderstandings, and definitely leading to a lack of trust. Without accountability, we can lose the focus of the mission at hand. Sometimes we can become so empathetic that it's very difficult to hold the person responsible for the things that they're supposed to do. So that's why it's important that empathy and accountability go hand in hand. Thinking about empathy and accountability, it's important because it increases understanding and it also helps individuals deepen relationships within teams. From the side of empathy, that gives you a different perspective. It adds an emotional well-being and feelings. On the side of accountability, it helps you understand the task at hand and what is important, and to stay responsible despite how you feel, to remember the goal and remember your role within the goal. Also, it makes you be mindful of active listening. When I am empathetic, I am listening for what is being said, not just for what I think. I'm giving my attention to someone, I am pausing, and I'm allowing them an opportunity to express themselves without cutting them off. When I'm thinking about my emotional intelligence, either mine or the person that I'm reflecting with, it allows me to think about what type of relationship do I want to have with this person? How am I communicating and how am I coming off? These two things are very important when you think about the role of empathy and accountability in communication and understanding. In looking at this, transparent communication is extremely important. Is my message getting lost in my delivery? Even though I think I'm clear about what I'm saying, is what I'm saying actually being heard in the way that I intended or meant it? Am I being empathetic to the listener? And also, am I doing my role? Am I being accountable in thinking about all these different perspectives while we're having the conversation? It also is important to consider, is this a psychologically safe area? Am I considering everything that is happening around us? Is this a good space, time, and place to have the conversation? Not only physically, but mentally and professionally. When I think about the relationship, is this relationship going to be strengthened because I'm more empathetic? Is the relationship going to be strengthened because I'm holding myself accountable for the results of not only what I say, but the results of listening to what is being said? How do I want us to feel and connect after this conversation happens? Are we going to be better as a result of it? Have I communicated in a way that I intended? And did the person receive the information? Do I need to do more follow-up? What can I do to make sure that we have a strong conversation? We want to build trust. When we think about things from an empathy and accountability standpoint, it helps us understand that we're not having a conversation just to complete a task. We're having a conversation to build a relationship. Then we're also offering support and compassion within the conversation. We're not plowing through to get to the intended result. We're taking our time. We're being intentional. We're thinking about the whole relationship, not just this piece of the conversation and how this can contribute to where we want to go overall. We're thinking beyond the moment when we think about empathy and accountability. When I am empathetic yet accountable, there's an opportunity to establish mutual respect. And no matter what, if the situation is tense, then I'm able to take a pause and I'm able to think about, am I considering this other person's perspective? Am I allowing myself not to take them personally? And ask myself, when I start the conversation, did I start with mutual respect? And then when I end the conversation, did I end with mutual respect? And we think about when we're empathetic and we're accountable, then people know that we're reliable. A lot of times we don't think about how being unempathetic can make someone think that we're not reliable. They might not be vulnerable enough to trust us with their words or trust us when something personal becomes professional. But if they know that they can come to us and we can look at them and manage and think about our feelings while reflecting on their feelings, and we can still have a conversation, we can still reach the intended goal of the conversation, which makes us both be able to be reliable while building trust. Being empathetic and accountable also promotes personal growth. From an empathetic standpoint, it helps you think about, nurture, and foster your own personal and professional beliefs. From an accountability standpoint, it allows you to think about the fact that you make mistakes and humanize the mistakes in others. It makes you think about, did someone maliciously try to not give me what I asked for? Is someone being malicious in how they're talking to me? Sometimes the way things are delivered and the way they're received is not how they were intended. And the accountability piece helps you understand that it is very important to put your personal feelings aside, pause and reflect, think about them before making a determination about how someone is communicating with you. Promoting personal growth and professional learning allows room for self-awareness. We've been consistently talking about looking at yourself in the mirror, taking a second to think about, am I giving someone the grace that I need? And if someone's not giving me the grace that I think I need, did I communicate with them in a way that they understood what I needed? Am I asking for something that I'm not able to get right now? I appreciate the opportunity for someone to be empathetic, but that does not mean that I am not accountable for the task and the work and the duties and the assignments, even though I might not feel like doing it. These are so important when you self-reflect to say, am I being realistic? Am I making sure that I don't take advantage of an opportunity because someone is being empathetic to me to use it as an excuse to belabor, prolong, or sidestep tasks that I need to do? It's very important to be self-reflective about what is my intent when I'm thinking about doing things from an empathetic point, but also not losing my accountability. This leads us right into feedback. Being able to take feedback and constructive criticism is extremely important when you're feeling vulnerable. It's extremely important to realize that some people might not be able to actually handle everything that you're saying if it doesn't lead to what they need. So is this the right person? Even though I'm in a situation where I need someone to be empathetic, it doesn't change my accountability. So do I need more support? Do I need other people to help me have this conversation? Do I need to possibly talk to HR or someone else who can be more empathetic than what a manager could be or a supervisor, because they do have a task to do? So I need to be accountable for my role in what I am doing with my job. Even though I might need empathy, I need to figure out how to be accountable while I'm asking for empathy. When you think about the perspective of being empathetic and accountable, you have to be adaptable. You've got to be flexible and you've got to have grace. You have to understand that an emergency on your part does not necessarily denote an emergency on someone else's part. So you have to understand that just because something is passionate for you, happening in the moment for you, it doesn't mean that someone's not being empathetic. They might not just be where you are. So making sure you pause to give yourself an opportunity to be adaptable and to be flexible when delivering information and asking for someone to be empathetic. And then understanding that just because they are, it doesn't mean that I still don't have to do it, but they might work with me in a way that allows me to have the grace to continue to have flexibility and adaptability in my decision making as we work towards the intended goal. In that, not only do I want to take action, I want to take action that is productive, honest, and that leads me to where we both are trying to be, not just that benefits me personally. In improving conflict resolution, you have your part of empathy, and of course, you have your part of accountability. When you think about being empathetic in conflict resolution, you think about the idea that misunderstandings can come, but not for the sake of argument, just because two people are coming from two different perspectives. And also, it helps you humanize the person because a misunderstanding does not have to be a direct conflict. It does not have to be negative. It could simply be a misunderstanding. Once we're able to characterize that, then we can move forward. And we can talk about how to get over that misunderstanding to get us both to where we need to be. And so even though we have a misunderstanding, how can we work together and be accountable to one another and to ourselves and to the mission at hand? One thing that's really important, practicing empathy does not mean that you are weak. It does not mean that you are a pushover, and it does not mean that you are not a strong leader. When you practice empathy, you can learn to be assertive but not aggressive. When you practice empathy, it allows you to build strong, healthy relationships. And it means that you are also practicing self-awareness. It's not just about what you think, it's about connecting and being self-aware that there are multiple perspectives, not just one. We've talked a lot in this presentation about perspectives. A lot of times, if you're anything like me, we go from meeting to meeting, second to second, hour to hour, Zoom to Zoom. Sometimes I have difficulty understanding that there's another perspective. Sometimes if I'm tired or busy, I think that I rush through things. That self-awareness about how I'm showing up, what I'm bringing to the table, and what energy that gets me back is extremely important when we think about the perspective of others. Just because you did not intend something doesn't mean that it did not happen. So part of being empathetic is listening to someone telling you that you made them feel a certain way, reflecting on it, and making sure that you pause before you move forward so that you can be accountable for how you showed up, so that you can continue to build healthy relationships with others. This is a huge communication skill, and it's something that confident, strong, productive leaders do. This leads right into emotional regulation. How am I showing up? How do I want to show up? How do I need to show up? And sometimes, do I need to show up at all? I'm not telling you to leave work or quit your job. I'm saying that in the moment, do you need to take a break to make sure that you are who you intend to be as a confident leader, as a leader who is self-aware and a leader who sets boundaries? And if not, do you need a reschedule? Did you need to communicate via email and let someone know that you need that space to be able to show up in a way that's going to help everyone? So being an empathetic leader is not only being empathetic to others, but it's asking for empathy when you need it. That leads us right into taking shared responsibility for completing things from both perspectives to ensure that we are getting to exactly where we need to be. In this journey, we talked about self-awareness in one-on-one communication, peer-to-peer communication, but being in a team and managing a team can be very difficult. But it also can be extremely rewarding when we learn how to communicate with each other. When we learn that multiple perspectives are good. When we learn that sometimes when someone has a different perspective, they're not challenging us, they're adding value. And when we also learn to hold one another accountable, it can help boost morale and it can help us work together more effectively, and it could even create a fun work environment. While we're doing this, we're looking at goal alignment, not just throwing out tasks, but are the tasks being completed? If they're not, have I built trust and created a relationship where I can talk to this person, where I can be empathetic and still hold them accountable for what they need to do? And I feel strong about that, knowing that I gave them what they needed, but I also am helping us reach our goals. And one thing that's really, really important when you talk about accountability is recognizing people who are doing what they're supposed to be doing and showing them appreciation. It's easy to mark things off in boxes, but taking a minute to send an email, to say thank you, to leave a sticky note, taking a minute to do something to show someone that I appreciate you helps with team morale. It helps people feel more confident, and it helps build trust. Showing appreciation is a huge part of the empathy process, while also appreciating and recognizing those people who are doing what they're doing. A lot of times we spend more focus on people who don't do what they do, and we pass over people who are doing the right thing. It's very important to take a minute to reward those people in small gestures, sometimes large, who are being accountable, because they get overlooked, and sometimes more work gets piled on those people because they'll assume that they can do it. When's the last time you told someone thank you for doing something that they needed to do? Thank you for helping you complete a project. Thank you for helping you complete a task. And thank you for making your work life easier because they did what they were supposed to do. Take some time to do that today. Thinking about team performance and morale, it creates such a positive environment with some of the steps that we identified before, and it also allows opportunity to be ready for constructive feedback. If we're practicing empathy, we're able to think about feedback as constructive, not punitive. Depending upon the perspective of the person and how the message is delivered, feedback can be extremely beneficial in helping with accountability. As I stated before, it's important to be self-reflective and make sure that your message is not getting lost in the delivery. Do you know how the person you're speaking with knows how to be communicated with? Do they know how you like to be communicated with? Have you taken an opportunity to make sure both sides understand where you are before offering the feedback? And then are there tangible results that you want to see after the feedback is offered? These things are extremely important in moving forward from empathy to accountability, to making sure the feedback is producing results and it's not just words. This is a powerful quote. How does this show up in your life? How do you want it to show up in your life? Have you ever thought about the importance of understanding what empathy means? Empathy is from the perspective of looking at your life through someone else's shoes. Accountability is about standing firm in your own. I am ICF Life Coach Phillitia Charlton, and this has been a presentation on empathy and accountability. I hope that you can take some of the tools that you have learned and use them in daily practice. Thank you.